Jones on Star TV.
Talk to Malik Jones on issues that matter every Saturday on Star TV. Talk to Malik Jones, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. 1 hour of tough talk only on this medium.
Hello, and once again, welcome to the program Talk to Malik Jones on Star TV.
Talk to Malik Jones on issues that matter every Saturday on Star TV. Talk to Malik Jones, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. 1 hour of tough talk only on this medium.
Hello, once again, welcome to Talk to Malik Jones. And today we will be talking on a very, very important and sensitive issue, the issue of taking precautions, the issue of making you realize that COVID-19 is in this country and we need to take all the precautions to make sure that we stay safe. Joining me in the program and talking to me is Omar Sise. He's social scientist at the Medical Research Council. Omar, welcome to Talk to Malik Jones.
Thank you, Malik.
And also Bakari Diba, who is a research coordinator at the MRC. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jones.
Let me begin with you, Bakari, because this is got to do with some scientific analysis. What is the Delta variant of COVID-19?
So, Delta variant of the COVID-19 is just another type of variant that actually newly emerged from India recently. We've all actually known that Delta variant actually started in India. So it's just like any other variant in COVID-19 because we've seen so many other variants when COVID-19 started. So Delta is one of those new variants that actually emerged recently.
So there were others that preceded it.
Of course, there were.
Let's go to the genesis of COVID.
Yeah.
This was way back in 2019.
Yep, December.
And still some people do not want to believe in its existence. Tell us something that we can handle, hold on to, and know that this is for real.
Well, we've all seen it. It's clear cut, actually. Since 2019, we've actually, if we haven't seen it, we've had that. It's all over the world. We know that actually COVID-19 is wrecking the world. Economic-wise, people cannot do what they used to do, what they used to enjoy before, simply because of COVID-19. We've seen in China, thousands of people have died. In USA, millions of people have died already. And this is COVID-19 that, in fact, brought the whole world to a standstill. So this is obvious. By now, actually, everyone that is with his senses actually needs to understand that actually COVID is real.
And the public's perception, you're a social scientist, Omar, and I'm sure you've been going around, you've been hearing people, you've been seeing how they are reacting. What's on the ground?
Thank you very much, Malik, for that question. To be very frank with you, is a very challenging thing. People still doesn't believe COVID-19 exists. Majority of the people that I'm talking, I mean, especially if you look at where they will relay their beliefs, that tells you that you can't understand where even they're getting the information. Just recently, I had a group of discussion I made with youth that somebody told me, come on, there is no COVID. I have never seen somebody with COVID. I told him, did you ever see somebody who had HIV? He said, in those days, he used to see somebody have HIV on TV. I said, just recently, COVID has been shown on TV, where QTV was able to go to the treatment center. And they said, even though he didn't believe, for him, I think it is just people's own ideology. You know, I mean, some of them, no matter how you thought, but still the people not believing COVID exists is as many. It's something very challenging, and that's what we are trying to change. What me and Bakar, the work we are doing, that's what we are trying to see, to change the perception of people towards COVID, and they understand COVID exists in the Gambia. If there was no COVID, as I used to tell people, if there is no COVID, every year people, how many, for the past years, nobody going to make a Hajj. Even people have money to pay for their parents, they didn't. So that alone can show people this thing is a reality. As a Muslim, if you believe that the other pillar of Islam is going to Mecca, and that is not been fulfilled because of COVID, definitely should give you an idea that this is something that exists. But to be very frank, Mr. Joe, the problem we are facing that people in the Gambia, most of them doesn't believe COVID exists, and that's what we are trying to change.
Why?
You know, people beliefs varies. For me, I think there were not enough information being given out to people. For example, information was still a scarcity in terms of COVID-19. I mean, maybe some people, I mean, you know, they don't, the information they are seeing or what they are seeing doesn't show them there's COVID exists in the country. Because I talked to a guy who told me that I usually have information from my son in the United States saying that COVID is real in the United States, but it doesn't exist in Gambia. I said, if your son lives in the United, why he cannot tell that COVID exists too? So people just do things what they own. I think for what I used to say, this is just people who have their own thinking or whatever they want to do, just to say that COVID is, but to be very frank, COVID exists in this country, exists in the world, and the problem we are facing is coronavirus.
Bakri,
Yes, please.
the world is trying to see how best that they can, well, they cannot cure now, but actions are being taken to fortify people against the disease. Vis-a-vis, there are a lot of vaccines. Now, give us an overview of the vaccines that are presented to people.
So thank you, Malik. Vaccines like every other COVID vaccines, like every other vaccines in the world, we've known that Gambia, especially our EPI unit in the Gambia, we are well known of actually having to respond to a lot of vaccines that have been introduced or developed in the world. If you look at our EPI system, we have a lot of vaccines that are given to our under fives, which is quite commendable as far as those things are concerned. Actually, so COVID vaccine also is not any different from other vaccines as well. So, but what is clearly understood with the COVID vaccine is the vaccine doesn't actually stop you from having COVID-19, but it only actually limit or prevent you from being hospitalized or getting a severe disease from COVID. This is the thing that everyone should understand. Having gotten a vaccine doesn't stop you from taking the precautionary measures as well. This is very, very key for everyone to understand. We should take the vaccines so that we won't be sick. Because when we are not sick, we are able to actually relieve a lot of pressure from our healthcare frontliners in the hospitals. Because currently we are really stretched to the limit. Everyone is quite exhausted in the hospital simply because the number of patients we are receiving, we cannot deal with it. We don't have the human resources, we don't have the material resources to deal with this kind of crisis. Everybody is getting sick from COVID and getting severe illness from it. You require a lot of oxygen. And actually, we cannot get, even in the whole world, everybody is actually in crisis as far as oxygen is concerned. So in order to get that actually for our country at a maximum level also, we will need to make sure everybody get some sort of protection, like getting a vaccine, and also continue to observe all the precautionary measures to make sure that actually you don't get sick from COVID, because that's what the vaccine currently is doing. All the vaccines you see, they can tell you they are quite efficacious, but actually they don't stop you from actually getting COVID-19.
What types of vaccines do we have?
So currently we were having actually AstraZeneca in the country, But we understand that at some point, some of the doses got expired. They have to actually discard them. But currently, what we have in the country is the J&J vaccine, which is the Johnson & Johnson, which is donated by the American government through the COVAX initiative, which is actually quite good. And I understand that it's very, very effective as well and efficacious. So people should go and embrace it and have it, because having some sort of protection is better than none. And then we also have the Chinese one as well in the country, Sinopharm, which is also currently available, and they are actually nationwide available. And the J&J also is nationwide available. And I can actually see, currently the minister was actually confirming that the number of the number of people out there taking the vaccine now, it seems like the vaccine hesitancy, we are not saying it's not there, it's still there, but it's really, really improving, which is quite commendable. And we are encouraging everyone, if you have the opportunity, go out there, grab the vaccine. The vaccine will definitely not stop you from having COVID, but it can actually lessen your severity of becoming sick from COVID-19.
Sensitization is key in this, in the fight against COVID-19. But I do not think that there has been enough sensitization, because I have friends who live in the in the rural areas, and whenever I talk to them about COVID-19, they tend to ascribe COVID-19 to us that live in the urban area. St. February Banjul,
Wow.
stuff like that. So in other words, people in the rural areas are not well sensitized about COVID-19, and that is where the problem lies.
Yeah, thank you, Malik. If you see this actually what we are doing now, part of my work is to make people aware COVID exists. I am working with Start FM, where we come on every week, where we talk to people, inform people on the availability of the coronavirus is in the country, and make sure everybody is aware. We speak in different languages, and I'm also going around the community within Greater Banjul, because the work that I'm doing, I'm working in a project called PATS, where we are trying to look at treatment for COVID-19. So it scopes only stop within the Greater Banjul area. But that's why, if you see, in fact, what happened before we start this project, we had what we call a formative study that we go out to. We went to Brekama, we went to Bundung area, and inform, gauge people's idea and perceptions about what we're going to do. So this was that we did initially, and then give us an idea that we need to go back and inform people. That's why initially when the project started, we bought airtime in both in Brekama and Star FM. Now we still feel that it's something that we need to continue doing, so that, because people need to be aware that this thing exists, and they need to, because that's the only medium that we can use. So that's why we continue sensitizing people. That's part of my work, to make sure that people get aware of it. So that's why even in our last program, I even had a program with you where we had African radio. You see people calling us in different locations in the country. Now many people are now listening to radio to know what actually is happening. So I think when we continue doing this for a while, if this wasn't happening, now people will be now more aware of the COVID existed. And I'm also seeing so many adverts in other radio stations and other TV stations where they're advertising about COVID, and I hope those things will be looking at it and then will change their mind. But as I just told you initially when we started the program, still there is a problem. People think that COVID doesn't exist in the country. And how to change it is people to talk to them and make them understand COVID is a real thing, and here is here with us.
There are traditional communicators in this country. Are you thinking of using those people, these Kanyalengs, go to the Banta bars at the community level, and just have an open forum there again? The issue of distance.
I think, Malik, one of the major problems that we have is disinformation. There are so many myths around COVID that is out there, and most people link COVID to political, actually thinking it's something that government is trying to use to get some funds for themselves and things like that. But I think that is really, really beside the point. We have a serious problem in this country. People look up to certain key people in the community. If those people speaks, they listen to them. And these are people that really we need to actually make sure their mindset actually is fixed, that they all believe that COVID exists. If those people help us and help the Ministry of Health in their effort to actually make sure everybody is in the same page, and then we all understand that this is a real fight that we all need to come together and do, that way our fight will be easy. But if actually we are working hard as healthcare professionals and then we have other people out there antagonizing our effort, it's going to be really futile at the end of the day. And what we are now seeing is more people are getting sick and they are coming to the hospital. And that will really put a lot of pressure on us and then has so many implications because our resources are not enough to provide that service to everybody. At the end of the day, what will happen, we'll go to a standstill where we will realize that, people will end up not getting the support that they require at the facility level. So before we get to that stage, I think what we should do is we all try to understand some of the messages that we are putting across to prevent ourselves from getting sick from COVID-19. So we will get into some of the things that we as MRC or as a project that we are doing in the MRC, which is the PATS COVID. That's one of the key things that we want to discuss in the platform today, later on in the show. We will actually tell you some of the things that we are doing, some of the things that we are doing to help the people in the community, and also trying to look out for treatment, because we understand that COVID is here to stay. And if we are to stay with something, we should find also a solution to it. Vaccine is one solution from making you from being sick. But again, even if you are not sick from it, once you contract the disease, we should have a treatment for it. And that approach, that what we set and then we are working on. We are looking into a drug that we think that should be able to help in the treatment of COVID-19.
We will come back to the
just to add
research.
Just to add what Bakari was saying, what I did in Brikama was when I wanted to inform the community in Brikama, actually the work we are doing as project in MRC, I have to involve the Bulunda, which is the Council of Elders in Brikama, which I found are very vocal and very respected. Whatever they say, people tend to listen. So I use those people in the radio station, get their sound opinion, and then put it in an advert in one of the FM studios. So that helps to motivate more people to go and accept to be tested and be part of the project. So as you said, traditional communication, this is what we are doing. But as I just said, because our project is limited within the greater Banjul area, which is Brikama, Bundung, and then MRC, Windem, and Clinic. So it doesn't give us the most power to go beyond the scope. That's why we thought that when we use the radio station like Star TV, Star FM, after radio, talking to people, that will also help us to spread out the information that we want people to understand. Actually, this is COVID exists, and this is what we are doing, and this is the step they need to do to protect for themselves and need to believe COVID is here with us. So these are things that we are doing.
You're watching Talk to Malik Jones, and in the program today, we're looking at the COVID-19 and the work that the Medical Research Council is doing vis-a-vis to try to combat and make sure that people adhere to the regulations that will keep them safe as far as possible. Now, research. You mentioned somehow that COVID is here to stay and will stay for some time. But then you're not resting on your laurels just by saying it's here to stay, but you're into research to see whether we can have a treatment for it. What's going on?
So, Malik, like I mentioned earlier, we actually understand that diseases actually, when they come, actually most times they are actually here to stay. And then we should also prepare and then look out for other solutions or new solutions to those problems. Like every other diseases, every other treatment you see today has undergone some sort of clinical trial, or that is the research to see how effective that drug is going to treat that particular problem. So this is not something new. The same thing we are doing, and the drug that we are actually currently looking at is what you call ivermectin. Ivermectin is not a new drug. It's actually a drug that is well known in the treatment of other diseases, such as scabies. It's an antiparasitic drug that is used in the treatment of lymphatic filariasis, actually scabies, and other parasitic infections that the drug is well known to treat. So that drug also, we understand that it has some antiviral properties that we are actually using to see if these will definitely help in the management of people with mild to moderate cases of COVID. And then we are also using aspirin in the severe form of COVID-19, those that are hospitalized in the hospital setting and also needing oxygen or life support in terms of breathing. So those are kind of people that we will also, cohort in cohort 2, and then we will put those with mild to moderate symptom in cohort 1, and we will giving them this intervention to see if this will really help in gaining us a positive results in the treatment or the fight generally against COVID-19. Because the way the research started, this initiated came from Professor Anna Roca, as well as Dr. Efwa and Bas Najim, who are the principal investigators for the study. So they started this initiative since July to August 2020. So here we are now. Actually, we started recruiting, and the studies are there. Our surveillance sites are Bundung, Brikama, and then we are also based at Nemban and CSD in Fajara, where we are recruiting participants. So what we do actually, we will sensitize, talk to you, people with suspected COVID, and then talk to you about what the study is all about. Basically, what we do actually, we recognize that you have signs and symptoms of the COVID. We will actually, give you the opportunity to talk to you about the study. The study is purely voluntary. Clinical trial in general is voluntary. Actually, you don't force anybody into it. Tell them everything about the study. If they are informed very well, they make the informed decision to consent to be part of the study. If they are actually part of the study, we tell them about all the details of the study, as in how we started. So from the screening day to day 0, day 4, day 14, and day 28, where all these are time points to do some study activities, which actually further on in the program we might highlight some of those things as well. This is exactly what is going on. Like I mentioned, like every other drug you see in this world in the market that we take, like if you're sick today, you go and buy paracetamol to take for your headache. Paracetamol has undergone such a thing. Today, why we are enjoying it? Because somebody sacrificed to actually be out there to make sure that we get that information in terms of the safety and the efficacy of that drug. You understand? So these are some of the things that we are also embarking on right now. We are doing.
All right. I'll come back to you and we'll look at what happens in the case of the research that a volunteer gets well. What happens? But then let me just turn to Omar. Omar, vaccination is a must. People must vaccinate.
Yes, because if you want to protect yourself or to prevent yourself from having the severity of the disease, it's advisable to go and to vaccinate yourself. I mean, government will not force, or MRC will not force nobody to do your vaccine, but you as an individual should know what you want for your own personal health. If you think that, it is already known that these vaccines can, even though it doesn't prevent you, but it can give you a sort of a protection, so that it will, even though you had the COVID, it will not be very severe. It's advisable everybody to go and take up the vaccine. For me, I think prevention is better than cure. So before you wait until you are taken somewhere else to be treated, you can carry yourself to a place and get the vaccine so that it prevents you. Even though you had COVID, it will not be as severe as others get it. It's more advisable than just staying at home without doing anything. So I'm asking every Gambian, everybody who should go and get the vaccine, irrespective of where you are. Because I've seen the timetable government has given out that almost the whole country they are going to rolling it out for this Johnson & Johnson. So people should take that opportunity and make sure that they are vaccinated and then able to help us. If they're vaccinated, then we'll be able to fight this community transmission that is happening, because it needs to stop.
As a social scientist, how are you complementing the effort, let's say, the research segment of this project by the MRC?
My role as in that project as social scientist is to go out to change people's perceptions or belief, to know that this is what we are doing, to make sure they understood the study and go and participate to help us to find a solution in treating it. We, as a social science, we only go and to talk to people individually, allow them to give us. Initially, my work was, before we started the study, we went out to the public within Banjul and within Brikama and Bondo, and then asked prominent people what they thought about this study. Based on the information that we got, we now advised the trial research team what they were supposed to do. So now they knew that, people, there is some what I say, perception about COVID. People don't think that COVID exists, so they still keep engage me to go back to those people to make sure that they understand this exists. Because if they see a permanent, if you can able to change one person's mind that COVID exists, he could able to change another individual. So we are just my work in that team just to make sure that I talk to people to understand COVID exists, so that we also help the team to recruit more people. Because if they knew COVID exists and they knew that we are doing the trial and the benefit of the trial and what it hold this into the trial, it definitely would help us and help we Gambians to get a solution to what we are faced with. So as social science, our work is just a complement so that we change people's mind. And in changing people's mind, we'll help them to get the research they want to do. That's what we are doing in that project.
Bakari, it's, as you mentioned, you're undergoing a research. And of course, you said volunteers are very, very important. Now, supposing in the course of the treatment, a volunteer just gets well, you determine or you come to the conclusion that somebody gets well. Does it in any way impair your findings?
So what we do actually is at that point in time, we cannot tell whether the results is negative or positive. Because in every clinical trial, what they do is actually, you have what you call the investigational product, yeah? So that contains the active ingredient. So you have something also called placebo that actually did not have any active ingredient in it. So it's more like, it looks like the one that actually had the active ingredient in it, and the other one, placebo, has nothing. So we'll compare between you and Omar, for instance. I'll give you what has the active ingredient, and Omar has something that has nothing. So if I give you two, and then just for you to understand that how quick were you able to recover? How quick Omar did not have anything? How quick was he able to recover? So we need a lot of number of people like that. At the end of the day, we will actually open up the whole thing and then see those that has this, how were they able to actually recover, but how quick, and then how fast were their virus also cleared, because that's why you have sample taken at different time points. So this is one of the things that we'll look at the end of the study. But we cannot determine that during the study. Until the study ends, we have the participant number that we require for us to actually break that code to know how the group that of Malik John, how well did they do, and the group that Omar belonged to, how well do they do as well. Based on that, that will also inform us whether this particular treatment is effective or not.
Do you have a timeline?
So we have a timeline, but sometimes what will happen in research, that area, the timeline is flexible, because if the target number you're looking for, if you're shortfall within the timeline, you actually probably might go back to your funders and look for a sort of an extension, as long as you have the cases, and then go out there until you get the number of participants. Because in research, one thing you need to also understand, you cannot go in a community where you have more than 100,000 people and just come and take 5 people, and you say that's a true representation of, you know what I mean?
You must be broad-based.
Absolutely. So that's what you need to also clearly understand. You must get a certain number before you could have the rich data to be able to analyze and give you that information that this is actually safe and effective before you can come out with the results.
Knowing how non-receptive Gambian people are, especially when it comes to medications and someone going about doing a trial, you know, and you need their cooperation. Are you finding it difficult to get people for these people?
Thank you, Malik. Yes, it's difficult, not difficult. It depends on individual understanding of what you are doing. Some people are very understanding. If you talk to them, they will understand actually what we are doing. But there is a group of individuals, they cannot make decisions, for example. They need somebody to make a decision for them. So you cannot force that individual at the right time to make the decision to be part of the trial. So what do we do as social scientists? We keep talking to people to understand the importance of the trial, or how it is needed in the trial, and who are the people who the trial needs. So if you happen to be one, and you now feel in the same category, and you think you could participate, and you are above 18, and you can make your decision, you can feel on sign of the consent and then. But sometimes, you know our Gambian culture. You find ladies cannot make a decision for themselves. Minors cannot make decision for themselves. Even some elders themselves they have to seek advice from somebody. So those kind of people, we still keep talking to them. So we will not be only say that, okay, I mean, we talk to you and you said no, that doesn't make us stop. We still continue talking to people. We still keep talking to see that you agree. So until we get what we want from you, even if we make a decision you don't want to continue, it's free of charge. Because nobody has been forced. We'll talk to you as an individual, talk to you as a person, talk to you as a Gambian, to know this is what we are doing and the important is, if you agree to participate, fine. If you don't agree, fine. Doesn't mean that if you don't need care, we will still give you the same care you need. It's just about talking to people to see how we change their mind. Yeah.
You may need numbers. Numbers will be important
Very
for
well.
this. Have you started? Have you actually started?
So we actually started. We are quite far into the study, actually. Like I said, since January this year we started, and then we've recruited quite a number, 100 plus now in the cohort 1. Cohort 2 also recruited about...
These are people with
Yeah.
COVID.
Yeah, these are people with COVID, actually, that we've already recruited. Basically, all what we are doing, those that we are recruiting into the study must have COVID. That's one of the prerequisite requirement before you are enrolled into the
Showing
study.
the signs.
Yeah,
and
you must have the
symptomatic.
sign. If you have the signs of COVID-19, actually, we will then, based on the signs and symptoms, we will screen you.
Okay.
And if we screen you and we find to have COVID in you, that's when actually we will take you to be part of the study. But if you are screened and negative for COVID, then that's where the end of the story for you.
Okay.
It ends there for you. So like every other person that we are screening, they must actually exhibit some signs and symptoms of COVID-19. So asymptomatic, we normally don't actually screen those ones.
You mentioned earlier during our conversation the issue of oxygen.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I wonder, I mean, we all breathe oxygen, okay? Why do people need oxygen, the one in the bottle or in the pressurized?
Yeah, because...
Well, how different is it from the normal oxygen we breathe?
Yeah, because, you know, it's a concentration, actually. Normally, that's where the main difference is. But again, if people get sick, actually, they don't seem to actually get the normal oxygen like you and I that is not sick will actually. So this pressurized one will actually force the oxygen into you to actually get that enough oxygen into your system well distributed. You understand? So, but if you and I are sick, we have a sort of a compromise in your lungs that is actually distorting you from breathing in normally like you and I that is not sick will do. So this is where clearly the difference is. Yes.
So the pressurized one
yes.
is pumped into the body?
Yeah. Yeah, it pumps into your lungs, and then that's where the body also utilizes from.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let me still stick with you, Bagri,
Yeah.
and we'll look at this research of yours.
Mm-hmm.
When you have a cure, or when you have a remedy,
Treatment per
A
se,
treatment per
we'll
se.
use it, yeah. Mm-hmm.
a treatment per se, it still doesn't stop people from adverse COVID, or it will minimize it.
Yeah,
Will
so,
act just like the vaccine.
so
Or is there a difference?
there is a difference,
All right.
actually. So it's just like when you have a pneumonia. When you have a pneumonia, clearly when you sit with it, you don't want to go and seek treatment. You tend to get sicker. You will be more sick. And then you might, at the end of the day, you might actually die from it. But for instance, now you feel like you have signs and symptoms of pneumonia, you go to the hospital. Doctors will screen you, and actually prescribe some antibiotics that will treat that pneumonia. Yeah, if you are treated, you okay. But if you are not treated, the likelihood of those that are not treated with pneumonia might die. But if you are treated, you are likely to recover from that. So it's just like that. When we actually find a treatment for this disease, it's just like going to be like any other treatment. When you feel like you have these signs and symptoms, we tested you, we found out that you have COVID. Let's say, let's be hopeful that research become very successful and find out that this particular drug that we're using is quite efficacious, and then we will use it in future for the treatment of COVID-19. Yeah? So you realize that if you present to the hospital with signs and symptoms of COVID and you are tested, sound we are positive, and we could give you that. That will actually treat you to stop you from becoming severe, needing hospitalization and needing oxygen at the end of the day. So this is the beauty of treatment. Is that like, I can give you another example like malaria. People actually that has mild symptoms of malaria, you go to hospital, they give you Coartem. Coartem will treat you, and Coartem has undergone this kind of a thing, like I told you before. This is exactly what we will do as well. So once you have malaria, they give you Coartem. Coartem will treat you. You understand what I mean? So Coartem will treat you. But if you leave the malaria untreated, what happens? It's likely going to kill you. So this is exactly what we are doing. So when we are successful with this, then we have a treatment for COVID. It doesn't mean it's a cure, but it's a treatment. It doesn't stop you from like getting that particular disease forever, because people have malaria like every year in and out. Yeah, so it's just like that. So this is why I said, as long as it's here to stay, we should find also a sort of a treatment regime for it, so that at least when you have it, you know that you can go somewhere and get a treatment.
Omar, immunization, I'm still on this issue of immunization. How is the MRC coordinating with the Ministry of Health and to make sure that people are immunized? In other words, get the vaccine. Are you in touch with the ministry?
As an individual, or as a group, or as a project.
So in fact, MRC is not taking the leading role in terms of vaccination is concerned. So vaccination is purely the ministry's own, and we just complementing their effort, helping them, making sure people understand the importance of having the vaccine. In fact, we don't even give the vaccine at our center. The vaccines are actually purely with the ministry and the health facilities where people have to go and get the vaccine.
But they are aware of this project?
Yeah, we are working together. We have, there is nothing that MRC can do if ministry is not part of. Ministry is full part and parcel of this whole thing. They are aware. They must give you some sort of approval, in fact, before you can go on with anything.
In research. Because if ministry didn't approve it, we would have not gone along to say we are doing this research.
So in fact, they are partners in this. They are part of the study. They are very much aware.
The director of health is part of a.
They are very
So that's what
very much aware.
We work together, but as I just Bakari said, MRC doesn't take responsibility or really role in vaccinating. It's the government. So what we do is supporting them in make sure that the information that people need is out. That's what we are doing now. Like my work is to go out to radio stations, talk to people. I mean, come on, there is vaccine available. Go out and get your vaccine. There is COVID. Take your precautions. So at least we also helping them to give out the information in areas where actually they need or they find that this is the place where vaccines is given out. So, but for us, MRC, we don't take any lead. Government take the lead in vaccine, and then we just support, that people know vaccine exists in the country.
Yeah, that vaccine do exist in the country. Now, there was a point somewhere during the discussion that you talk about the expiration of a vaccine. So the vaccine, they have a time span.
Of course.
Okay.
Everything has a time span, of course. Even human beings, we have time span. So everything has a time span. So actually, if actually the medication is actually produced within a specific, because the manufacturers knows how long can this particular product last, and if it is given within this time, it's best to give it this time. But again, we can't guarantee you when you give it outside this time frame. So in order to protect themselves, they've already clearly told you that. They are not saying don't use it. But if you use it, actually, you might not get the benefit that they actually ascribe to it. They actually think you will find in it. So if you use it out of that period of time, you might likely not get any benefit. At the end of the day, you might just inject some foreign thing into your body, which will not be beneficiary to you.
Are vaccines enough?
As in?
Worldwide?
No.
In supply, in terms of supply?
No, you could see that. Actually, it's not enough. Everywhere, people are really struggling to get more vaccines into their country. So this is why, in fact, clearly, Gambia is actually one of the unique countries that has an opportunity to have a vaccine to a point, in fact, it will get expired. People want to take this opportunity and go and take vaccines. People see it. They want to grab. In some countries, they are paying for vaccines. Individuals will pay from their pocket to get vaccinated. So if you have the opportunity, you're not paying anything, you want to be vaccinated. So it's quite actually difficult. But again, it's just a mindset. People, I think we need to talk to them. We keep talking. That's our role. We need to understand that it's difficult sometimes to change people's mindset, especially something new. Before I come to terms with the new order, it might take some bit of time. So, but again, we keep talking. We will not relent until we see everybody understand that what we are saying actually is fully understood.
You have a branch in Kenneba, I think.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. Is somebody doing what you're doing here, there, in terms of
No.
sensitization?
Yes, I mean, the sensitization that I just said is because of this project that we rolling out. But MRC itself has a communication department where they are responsible for sending out information to all staffs, within staffs. Whatever information they see is valuable and important, they send it to everybody, not only in between Fajara, those in Kenaba, those in Basse, we will get the information at the same time. But in terms of sensitizing people about COVID and the existence of COVID, this is because of this project that we are called the PATH, which I am the leading social scientist working on it, who is responsible of that. So it's just within my limit as in this project that we are sensitizing, but not, I mean, across the whole unit within the Gambia that I go around talking to people. No, it's just within the study scope that I am involved in, which is Brikama, Bundung, MRC, and Demban Clinic, where I use Star Radio and the Star
So
TV.
you mentioned Demban Clinic, and people have been alarmed with the situation in Demban Clinic. Is it overboard? Are the medical practitioners overstretched there? Is it inundated with people with COVID?
Well, that's the truth of the matter, because, like I said, when people start getting sick, that's the only treatment center we have at the moment, actually. So if actually the medical practitioners, if the inflow of patients is a whole lot and we are not able to, contain the amount of patients that are coming, medical practitioners will get inundated, of course. They will get overwhelmed, clearly, because, resource-wise, we will never have enough. Because if the whole country gets sick, for instance, it's not going to, who is even going to look for who? So this is the situation. To be honest with you, Ndamban is quite inundated with work because there are clearly so many people that are sick with COVID.
There is a sanatorium.
Yeah.
Are people using that?
Yeah, they are using that facility as well. But my understanding is actually more of the mild to moderate cases are actually at the sanatorium.
All right.
So
now let me come to this research again. Research is an expensive thing.
very
Are
expensive.
you funded for this research?
Yeah, most of our researches are funded.
Externally?
Yeah, most of them are external UK funded project because MRC is a UK based institution. Most of the fundings come from UK actually as well. But again, you could see that actually COVID has inundated everyone with so many things actually. So even the funding is not as before. So those challenges and difficulties are really there. Yeah, but quite like you mentioned, research is very extremely expensive because every one of us have been paid a monthly salary from those fundings. To keep our work going, actually, we must employ so many people. As I speak to you now, we are in fact increasing the number of our nurses just to be able to recruit as much as possible, actually, because you need a lot of human resources to be able to do the work as efficiently, because one person cannot take 3 or 4 people's role. So that would be really quite inundating, yeah.
So well, let me just stick with this project of yours.
Yeah.
Extra hands is very important.
Yeah.
You may need a lot of nurses outside the MRC or within the MRC.
Well, what we do actually, all our nurses have to be employed by the project.
Okay.
Because we cannot actually get extra hand from somewhere else. Everybody is busy clearly now. So, and again, you cannot take somebody to work for you without paying. Nowadays, you cannot hire anyone without paying. So clearly, we need staff, but again, it's all going to be funded by the project.
Are you getting results?
As
So
in
far?
in terms of
In terms of the research, are you getting
well, we are
signs,
getting we are
positive signs that
we
you're
are
doing
getting
well?
we are getting our numbers, but we cannot tell you the results for now because, like I said, we are all blinded. We don't even know who has what. So the research is such that actually, sometimes some researchers you realize that both parties are blinded. What I mean by both parties is actually both the researchers and then the participants don't even know what they're receiving. So this is just to make sure that we don't break the code, to realize that in medical practice sometimes you can get bias, as a working in the project, I might want my family to get the intervention because I think that it might be really efficient for the individual. So what I will do, probably, I can choose to give him something that is not the placebo, but actually the other one. You know what I mean? So that is the reason why we try to blind everyone so that we don't know which product you are even giving who. Because it's such that the medication look very similar and the same. So you wouldn't even be able to tell until when we break the codes. So every section we have different, very organized. Research is usually organized. Okay, to tell you some of the genesis of research, in fact, is before you can even start any research, that is what you call ethics committee. You must write your protocol and your whatever you want to do, send it to those people. And these people will look at it. These are independent body that has nothing to do with your research. So they consist of scientists, some lay people, and also some senior health workers as well. That is part of the team. They looked at this. And most of the time what they looked at the interest of the study participant. The right, the safety, and the well-being of the participant is key. It's number one thing that they looked at. Anything that is going to be harmful to them, they will not accept it. You understand? So this is what that ethics committee is responsible of. They looked at they looked at the moral aspect, but they also looked at the ethical aspect of the whole thing. Everything you are doing will not cause any harm to these participants. So they really protect the safety, the right, and the well-being of the participant first before any other thing.
The cooperation of the public is very important.
Very important.
And you are getting it.
Yes, we are getting it small, but we still want people to go out.
What do you want to tell them?
What I want to tell Gambian is to really to participate in this type of trials because we need the numbers to get what we want. If we're able to get numbers that we want, so that it will be able to help us in analyzing the data we have, so that we can tell the whole world that Gambia did this trial and then this trial was effective and then this treatment is there for us, it would be a plus for us. So I'm urging all Gambians, irrespective either Gambian or non-Gambian, please let's go out and participate in such type of trials. It helps us, we working in the health sector, to come up with ideas and solutions of diseases like what we are faced with.
We do not have much time, which has just been indicated to me. The success of this research will mean a lot for the Gambia.
Absolutely, because again, it's not the only country that is doing this type of research and this particular product that we are even using. There are a whole lot of places, including America, Europe, and then even Asia. Similar researches are going on. They are also studying exactly the same thing. So actually, but we need to also contextualize things as well. As Africans, actually, if people can produce things from Europe and bring them to us, how contextualized is that? Because we also need to do within our setting and then get the results and then bring it out. Actually, that would be more unique to us because we know that all this, what is cooked here, and then we are going to use it. So getting the numbers is quite very important. Without the numbers, we cannot come out with the results. This is why we are urging each and every one that has signs and symptoms of COVID-19, come forward, get tested, participate in the study. The reward is you are contributing in actually bringing a new treatment for the management of COVID-19. That is the reward because every other medication you see today has undergone a clinical trial. And this is why we are enjoying the result today. Because if somebody did not sacrifice to be a participant for the products, for paracetamol come into existence, for Coartem to come into existence, today, how would we manage malaria? Let's say, for instance. So it's quite essential for everyone to understand that. Let's come forward, get the test done. If you're positive for COVID, we want people to volunteer, and we will tell you every single stage of the research, what is involved, what you can benefit from it, and then what also, what are some of the likely things that actually this could bring to the country at the end of the day.
Omar, your last word as far as you want people to join in this research.
Please, I'm urging all Gambians, and even non-Gambians, please to come forward and participate. If you have all the signs and symptoms of COVID, if you come to Brikama or Bundung or MRC, we will test you free. And the beauty of it, Bakari, if you found you are positive of COVID, even your family will go out there and also help to see that we will screen all of them. So this is the beauty of participating in this study. So we are urging everybody. Don't see that because this is COVID, you don't want to participate. If you don't find a solution, COVID will never go away from us, and we will keep on living with it forever, and then it's causing harm. So let's find a way we solution to this, and this solution is to participate in such type of trials, get the treatment, and then life move on. So I'm urging everybody to please also to participate in such an important trial.
Omar Sisse, social scientist, MRC, thank you very much for your time to
Thank you,
join me
Malik.
in the program. Equally to Bakri Diba, Research Coordinator of the American Research Council. Thank you both, gentlemen, for taking your time to be with me on the program.
Thank you very much,
you.
Malik. Thanks.
That was Dr. Malik Jones, and of course I've been talking to Omar Sisse, social scientist at the MRC, and Bakri Diba, Research Coordinator, also at the MRC. We've been looking at COVID-19 and research which is underway to look for a sort of a cure for COVID-19.
Treatment,
Treatment, rather, for COVID-19. For me, Malik Jones, bye-bye.
Thank you.
Talk to Malik Jones on issues that matter every Saturday on Star